The country of France has been in focus for a while now, and it's not for the usual reasons. Usually, when they talk about the country, they talk about things like the economy, they talk about things like the policies. For example, if they want to talk about a continent, not a country, mind you, like Africa, they talk about things like poverty, bad leadership. Please talk about something else. Yes, but the country of France has been in focus for a while. Form. It started for most people with the Olympics, yes, the 2024 Olympics. During the opening ceremony, the French people or the organizers did something of the Olympics. They did something that was so unusual. First of all, they depicted the scene, one of the final scenes in the life of Jesus before he departed this earth in bodily form. He had a meal that is popularly known as the Last Supper. So it was alleged that the organizers now did a parody of the Last Supper, and they did something that many Christians were not comfortable with. They tried to depict Jesus and his disciples as what they were not. And at the end of the day, the organizers and some people, they came out to apologize that they didn't mean to do any of that, but it was just something artistic. They say it was something artistic and all that, or they tried to infer that it was something artistic they were trying to do, that they were not trying to say anything disparaging about Christians or about Jesus and his disciples. Well, yes, that made a lot of people take note. There was this attention people started paying about France. Now, what is it about this nation? What is it about the nation? What are the things they like to talk about? What are the things they want to highlight? But for me, I've noticed something about the French society a very long time ago. This is because at the age of 18, 19, I started learning French language. I'm not excellent. I'm still learning, you can imagine, till now. But it made me interested in France and their language, their culture. So once in a while, I would put on my TV and watch their stations and to see what France is all about, what the language is all about. When you want to learn a language, it's good to know the culture and to keep on watching programs about that country or wherever, so that you understand, you'll be more fluent in how you speak. N'est-ce pas? Okay, so that was my intention. So I naturally gravitated towards French, anything to do with French, anything to do with France particularly, because that is the place where the language of French got originated from. So, but I noticed something. I noticed that in the French society, they glorify some funny things. First of all, one of the things I noticed is that they glorify nudity. Yes, even in their family-friendly programs, where you expect, a program that, like a matinee, Saturday or Sunday matinee, where young people, children and their parents are supposed to watch a television program or their news items, you find out that they glorify things like nudity. Nudity has been mainstream, and now one will wonder, what is the goal? Why do you want to make nudity something to be accepted in the general society? They're either talking about artists that are painting nude, they are doing nude paintings or nude sculptures during their programs or their regular matinee, or they are glorifying, you are seeing a woman, she's not wearing anything, and they're glorifying things like that. You might be wondering why. That is one thing I noticed about the French. If you've also noticed that, put it in the comments. Another thing I noticed about the French is that they kind of make it seem okay for a much older woman to be in a relationship with a younger man. So when it comes to the Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Macron situation, it's not that unusual in the French society. It's a culture that they embrace, it's a culture that they support, it's a culture that they use in their movies. When you watch their movies, when you watch their soap operas, when you watch their programs, it's something. Because one thing we have to realize is that when it comes to culture, the entertainment industry does a lot in shaping the culture of every society. Whatever program you watch, whatever music you listen to, those things form a culture, especially among young people. So you see, they are always depicting a much older woman. Sometimes the older woman will be in a relationship or be married, will be a married woman, and they'll show her having an affair with a younger woman. So the Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Macron situation is not exceptional. At least what I think in the French society is something that they openly encourage. Then another thing I've noticed about the French society is that they encourage relationships within people of the same gender. It's something that they mainstream. Yes, they mainstream it. They make it seem like it's what is expected or what people should do. And so young people in that society grow up and they kind of want to normalize the same sex relationship. So one another thing you ask is that when a society, when they are bent on promoting such things, why do they want to promote such things? What is the intention? Yes, because when it comes to entertainment, entertainment is a very crucial tool to shape the minds of not only young people, people in general. There are things, for example, in Nigeria, I live in Nigeria, there are things for example, in Nigeria that was not accepted 10 years or even 15 years ago. But today, because of the influence, especially of the Western culture, those things are celebrated. Those things are even normalized. For example, a culture like Halloween. We have our own festivals, for crying out loud. In Africa, we have our own festival. Like in Nigeria, you have things like the New Yam Festival. You have things like the Igwe Festival. You have things like the Oshun Festival. We have festivals. But you find out that in Nigeria, Nigerians now celebrate Halloween. Nigerians even celebrate some Indian festivals like holy festivals because of the influence of entertainment and whatnot. So one is wondering, why are those things being mainstreamed in France, for example? Why do they glorify nudity, opening your body? What are they trying to project to others, to the minds of others? What are they trying to encourage? Promiscuity? Are they trying to encourage immorality, or what? What happened during the Olympics is just depicted what the French culture and the French lifestyle can be. Yes, for Africans that are living in France, what have you noticed that migrated to France? When you moved to France, what did you notice? What kind of lifestyle did you notice that you feel it's very different from how we as Africans live? So we have to be careful, especially Africans. We have to be careful what we imbibe from the West, because not all the cultures from the West are edifying. Not all the cultures from the West will help the continent of Africa. Yes, we should be careful the cultures we practice, even within ourselves. We have some cultures that we should even ask ourselves, if I practice any culture, what is the origin? Why am I practicing it? Why am I practicing it? What is the end game? What is it supposed to teach me, or how is it supposed to make me a better person? So we should be thinking, people. I just want to stay here that there are things I notice about the French society that I'm not comfortable with. I wonder what they are promoting. For example, we are trying to promote a relationship between a much older woman and a younger man. Sometimes the younger person is a teenager. Are you trying to glorify some other thing I don't want to talk about here? I don't want to mention the name, but when a much older person is interested in a younger person, especially a young person that is still a child, there's a problem. You know there's a problem. We know there's a problem. So what is the French society and what is the French government? What are they trying to promote? We already know that the French government, they have become a problem to the African society. Yes, to African governments. Yes, because the French government, they have this thing of trying to lord over African government, trying to dictate what happens in their country, trying to tell them what to do. This is an allegation, but this is a very strong allegation. You find out that in most Francophone African countries, they are seen as chattels, they are seen as yes men to the French government. So what exactly is the French government promoting? Well, that's not what I'm talking about now. I'm talking about the French culture, the weird things I've noticed about the French culture. If you have noticed something like that, please put it in comments. In this channel, I talk about things that will get us thinking. We shouldn't just accept norms